He may be the most calm and cool member of the Biden administration. He uses a crazy, fact-based strategy to advance discussions on our most important energy topics. He's U.S. Secretary of Transportation and part-time congressional tutor Pete Buttigieg. And once again, he took an assertion from a poorly educated Republican member of Congress. Take your pick. Well, he dazzled us once again today by, believe it or not, citing facts. In this case, the poorly prepared pupil was QAnon spokesperson, election denier, and venerable representative of the Pennsylvania 10th Congressional District, Congressman Scott Perry. Now, with a resume such as that, you would think he's more than qualified to speak with some clarity and veracity. But as you are about to see in the amazing exchange between the genius who asserted that Italian satellites manipulated voting machines in 2020 and the public servant rooted in reality, Perry gets schooled at the hands of Professor Pete, point by point and fact by fact. And based on the old adage, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, this isn't the first time that Perry has shown himself unqualified as a person who, as it turns out, serves on the House Transportation and Foreign Affairs Committee. No, not long ago, he had his lunch served to him at a previous public schooling, courtesy of Democratic Representative Dan Goldman.
This is a game for these folks. Sure, they want to support their guy. They don't care about America. They don't care about what the president's doing to destroy America. They're just locking horns, locking arms to support their guy.
My friend from Pennsylvania also chastises us for just supporting our guy. And I wonder how he would define supporting our guy. Would he define supporting our guy as trying to instigate a coup at the Department of Justice to install a lackey and remove the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General so that he could keep his guy in office even though he lost? Is that just supporting our guy? Because that's what Mr. Perry did.
Ouch, the truth hurts. Well, today's lesson in governance concerns electric vehicle production and regulations. And while Secretary Buttigieg puts the finest of points on the facts at the expense of Scott Perry, as you're about to see, he first sharpens his pencil on Congressman Bruce Westerman.
Now, that's if all the fuel going into these EVs came from non-carbon emitting sources. Do you know how much electricity in the United States comes from non-carbon emitting sources?
Even if all of that electricity came from fossil sources, it would still be cleaner because EV engines are more efficient.
I think you need to go back and look at physics a little bit.
Okay, the physics, Congressman, are that an EV engine is 90% efficient, where even the best ICE engines are lucky to get to 40%.
But the plant that made the energy is not 90% efficient, and internal combustion engines are 25 to 30% efficient, but you've got the efficiency of the generating plant plus the losses in transmission, and don't try to make the efficiency argument. The bottom line is...
Well, I'm definitely going to try to make the efficiency argument because I think it's important.
Buttigieg doesn't suffer fools gladly. He suffers them with aplomb. Just take a look at this.
Is there a time that you will say, you know what, this is just too expensive. This is just too expensive. We want to rethink this policy. Is there ever a time that you're going to say that it's too expensive?
If you think this is expensive, wait till you find out how much oil and gas subsidies you've been supporting. Also, wait till you find out the economic impact that some economists have put at $15 million every hour or every day. Trillions of dollars every year from allowing the environmental conditions in this country and the planet to worsen.
Well, just wait until you see this next pass-fail exchange. It's coming up in just a second. It'll be the last one we show you. But first, let's keep in mind it's been a rough road to drive for Secretary Buttigieg, because when dealing with important technology issues for stopping pollution and climate change, well, there's a long-standing and ludicrously funded effort by the fossil fuel industry to discredit it, to scare people away from it, to make it a political controversy, and ultimately to kill its growth. But as you're about to see, sometimes cool heads prevail and deliberate reason wins the day. Let's watch Representative Scott Perry learn a thing or two about a thing or two, point by point, issue by issue, in this textbook response to Perry's vague assertions and fake facts. Congress and class is now in session.
Clearly, Mr. Secretary, this isn't working. So I'm wondering, is there some point, and if you've identified some point where you will stop, where the administration will stop, where the federal government will stop this requirement and let the market decide as opposed to this central planning model and this dictatorial policy?
Well, thank you. Given time is limited, I will confine myself to addressing the factually incorrect portions of what you have said, beginning with the assertion that EV sales are going down. They are, in fact, going up.
Does that include the government sales or private sales?
Every single year,
private sales
more
or government
Americans
sales,
have purchased
Mr. Secretary?
EVs. The entire market.
The government's forced to buy them, so sales are going up, but private sector.
There are private sales too, yeah.
I'd like those numbers.
Sure. 1.2 million EVs were sold in the U.S. in 2020.
How many government and how many private?
We'll get you that breakout, but as you know, more private citizens buy EVs than government purchases.
No, I don't.
Let me
don't
address the second factual mistake in your remarks, which was that EV costs are getting higher. They're in fact getting lower, and according to J.D. Power, have now reached parity or are slightly lower than
with
the
or without
equivalent
subsidy,
gas-powered
Mr.
car.
Secretary. With or without subsidy.
Yeah, that does include the subsidy. That's right. But the point is, they are going lower.
But they're not, because we're all buying them.
Your statement that they are going up is incorrect. The third incorrect assertion you made is that sales dropped in Q1. They did not drop compared to Q1 of the previous year. Of course, if you compare them to Q4, they drop, because they always do, because car sales are seasonal. But I would imagine most people are aware of that. And
no,
fourth,
I'm talking about
I want to address
EV, Q4 to Q1. EV, not just overall car sales.
Any car sales go down Q1 to Q4 because more people buy cars in Q4. But what I'm telling you is every single year, more Americans buy EVs than the year before. And the word tailspin is just a bizarre word to use for a growing sector of our economy. We also think that since that's the way that the market is headed, we should not allow China to build on the advantage that they developed during the Trump administration, not because they're environmentalists, but because they understand the economic power of trying to dominate the EV market. We want those EVs to be made in America, and increasingly they are.
I'm happy to have them made in America, Mr. Secretary. What I'm not happy about is the mandate. The American people should be able to buy.
That brings me to the fourth and final
that
thing that I need to challenge as being factually inaccurate, which there is no mandate. You can purchase a gas car if you want to pay gas prices at the pump, but if you don't, you can purchase an EV with our help.
Secretary Buttigieg once said about defending the Biden administration's strongly pro-EV policies, "I feel like it's the early 2000s, and I'm talking to some people who think we can just have landline phones forever." Well, the roadblocks he faces are going to be many, and the traffic cops along the way, they're going to be just as bright as the ones we saw in the video here today. But I think maybe before he lectures Professor Pete again, Scott Perry might just do well to take a page out of his own curriculum for the revitalizing of America.
That's innate. That comes from human nature, but it's also learned. If we learn to accept those things and start accepting them, they become acceptable.
Well, the fancy book learning is done for today. Class dismissed.